Today we have so many metrics and we can track what's happening so well that you need to spend your advertising and marketing dollar where it gets results.
There's too many things available to you to not get a pretty quick return on the money. So almost all marketing has moved towards like an almost instant response scenario.
Right.
Clients tend to not like the ones even online that aren't as immediate and instant, such as a social media deal for a contractor isn't as instant as like a Google organic placement or a Google paid ad or buying a lead.
Right.
Right. So for that reason, I'm going to say billboards is a huge mistake. And we also have seen too many clients over the years have their digital going and then begin to make money off the digital and then parlay that money into these things we're saying don't do. Yeah. Instead of expanding the digital brand, which is an instantaneous response or a quick response, to use it on this.
And a response that you can track it. You can see what it's doing.
Yeah. Hey there, it is Nolan and Jason here with the Webmasters.
Howdy.
Today we're going to talk about how to push your digital marketing to the next level and what to do and what not to do. So I think at first we'll start out just for...
For some reason that made me think about your thing the other day of, I'm eating oatmeal and I'm going to crush it. Yeah. Go to the next level.
Yeah, we're talking about just being genuine on these videos, and you know, somebody in here was talking about it, and they claim, you know, I hope they come off genuine. Yeah, I hope they do. Hope they don't come off like sales. So what not to do? Number one on what not to do is I'm going to say billboards. And
I can't even.
Well, if you're a contractor,
yeah,
and we have a lot of contractors, and you're pushing a billboard. I mean, for me, I guess the reason I listed that one first is because the days of taking yourself into a metropolitan area and completely branding yourself as if you're a household name, like Coca-Cola or something like that, is, I think, way gone. You know, we live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Our agency's out of Fort Worth. And I guess when Jason lived on the Dallas side and I lived on the Fort Worth side growing up, but they were separated. In fact, you could drive for miles and miles and miles and see greenbelt in between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yeah, especially if you drove I-20.
Yeah,
you didn't see anything.
There was just grass everywhere. Yeah. And I guess when I was in my teens and 20s, someone would put up billboards locally and kind of brand themselves.
Yeah.
But those days are just long gone. And I would argue, even if you're in a town that resembles what Fort Worth looked like when I was 15 years old, you still wouldn't want to do this today. And the reason you wouldn't want to do it is because it's very expensive to brand in that manner. And most of the
billboards are, the return on investment on a billboard is ridiculously low.
I actually did them one time with another business when because I've had this business for almost a decade now, but I used to have a home security business and did business doing that for years. And we tried billboards, and they did these little the little half ones, and they pitched it to me where they're going to give me more, and you know how many calls we got off of it? I think one. Wow. Or something, but it cost us like $12,000 back then, which would have been like $25,000.
Yeah,
and it was gone. The money was just gone.
And that's back when people thought billboards worked.
Yeah,
when it was considered, like, generally considered to be a good idea.
It was generally still considered a good idea. It was like 05 range, 2005. Yeah. And you know what he told me, which was a good point to be done here. He said, "Well, you got to keep doing it, Nolan, so you can brand yourself." And so nowadays the word brand from a digital marketing perspective means something totally different from brand from the 1920s through 1990s.
Yeah.
Right.
Old style advertising was building the brand and you put it out there and there was no real connection. No very immediate connection.
No call to action
between the advertising and the result.
The service.
Like today we have so many metrics and we can track what's happening so well that you need to spend your advertising and marketing dollar where it gets results.
There's too many things available to you to not get a pretty quick return on the money. So almost all marketing has moved towards like an almost instant response scenario.
Right.
clients tend to not like the ones even online that aren't as immediate and instant, such as a social media deal for a contractor isn't as instant as like a Google organic placement or a Google paid ad or buying a lead.
Right.
Right. So for that reason, I'm going to say billboards is a huge mistake. And we also have seen too many clients over the years have their digital going and then begin to make money off the digital and then parlay that money into these things we're saying don't do. Yeah. Instead of expanding the digital brand, which is an instantaneous response or a quick response, to use it on this.
And a response that you can track it. You can see what it's doing.
Yeah.
If you put an ad up on, if you do an ad on Facebook and it doesn't work, within a week.
Fast.
And then you can adjust it. You can change the budget, change the audience, change the creative aspect, anything you need to do. But a billboard, it sits there for 6 months and you have no idea.
We'll talk about that down here because you can brand.
Oh, did I jump ahead?
No, we've been jumping ahead. This stuff kind of all works together. You can brand on Facebook, but it's a totally different scenario, and I'll explain it here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to say something else about billboards. It's not to insult anybody by any means. I consider it an ego-based move.
Yeah.
It strokes the ego of the business owner to drive past the billboard. You want to put up a billboard, put one across town where you never drive to. Don't do it for your own purposes to drive past that billboard. That's a wrong move to make.
Right.
So make sure that money returns. And, we tell people not to sign long-term agreements. Why do they go do that? That's like a 6 month or
minimum,
more,
6 month.
6 month minimum.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Number 2 things not to do with your digital marketing dollar is television. Television. I was just watching a Mad Men episode, and they talked. Sun-Kissed Oranges was on one of the episodes, and they'd just gone color, but the oranges they're going to like multiply their budget on TV because now that you could see the orange in color. But it's not, it's not the 1960s.
Yeah, it ain't the 1960s
anymore.
So
it's not the 1960s.
A lot of people don't have an antenna, don't see broadcast. A lot of people don't even have cable anymore. And before you think that that's just those young people, I am pushing 50. I don't have cable. All I do is stream.
Yeah.
And so I don't see commercials.
Same for me, by the way. I've streamed only for a long time. The argument here would be that the people that see the commercials is not your client base. And by the way, this is a good one for, I'm going to add one. This is, you want to push. You were thinking
the same thing as me. Is if you're thinking about TV ads, stop thinking TV and go YouTube.
Go YouTube. Yeah. If you're thinking about spending that kind of money, go YouTube or back to social with the video. Right. We're doing something like that now. This is a podcast, videocast, simulcast that we push up between multiple platforms. This is the new video medium. It's not television anymore.
Yeah, television is.
Someone did this the other day, client of ours. They come and start making a little bit of money. That's a great return on investment. They're making money because they're doing organic. They're doing some paid ads online. They have extra cash because the return on investment's high. And then they go throw it into TV or billboards, and it's a complete ego move to me.
The person you're talking about did both.
They did both.
Yeah, they were doing both.
Yeah, they did. They did both. They spent all the money in their pocket, made a huge commitment, and then was freaking out.
Yeah, freaking out and calling us, trying to see if they could reduce their bill.
Yeah, or cancel services that brought them to the point to where they had money to do this stuff.
Right.
This stuff actually happens. I'm not making it up, but it's like this is stuff to absolutely stay away from. If you have extra money and you want to try something else out, you push into the digital world a little bit further. You go into your digital marketing further. Okay, so number 3 is print.
Print might as well be TV at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to embarrass Nolan a little bit here.
Why?
Because early this year...
I was thinking about it right then. Yeah.
We actually had read some stuff in marketing periodicals, and I had spoken to people I knew in the industry that were indicating that direct mail was actually getting results again, that there was
Right.
like a weird kind of reversal happening. And we said, you know what? We're never closed to anything if it
We
works.
aren't, yeah.
So we worked up some very nice looking postcards.
We did.
And we did a multi-thousand run of those things, and we mailed them out, and we got one damn phone call.
So this is a good point to make, guys, just so that this comes off self-serving, like don't do this, don't do that, do digital marketing services that the Webmasters offers. We'll try it all.
Yeah.
We'll try all of it. I know better than to go try billboards or TV. I ain't trying it again.
Yeah.
But we did try direct mail recently as a means to get clients, and we targeted specific people, you know, specific subsets.
Yeah, we bought a really solid mailing list for
Yeah,
this.
we did. And we went into it. A lot of details and demographics went into it, and they all went out. We took them down. I dusted off an old image,
20-year-old envelope printer.
an envelope printer, an imaging system
Yeah.
that high speed shoots out the postcards. We printed them up ourselves. And this is opposed to you getting your packet and your little pack of coupons, stuff where we did it ourselves and took it to the bulk mail center.
So we saved a lot of money doing
We
that. 'cause
saved money,
were
but we
semi
also
set up to do it.
It wasn't just that. I did it because I never trusted the marketing companies. These guys get messed around by marketing companies all around like I did.
Right.
I started a marketing business eventually because I wanted to make sure where my marketing dollar was going to. But I did my own direct mail back in the day because I wanted to make sure that it got distributed.
Yeah, back when it worked.
Back when it worked. So we dusted off this old system, got it working again, and did several runs, and it was such a colossal failure that we walked around in, I guess, some sort of shock.
We were in shock because we were like,
yeah.
we're always prepared when we're trying something new or trying something old again,
Yeah.
for it to not do as well as we hope, because that happens. But it was a failure of proportions we did not think was possible.
yeah.
We would just sit there talking about it like, I can't believe nobody called.
You
It was
think
a beautiful
it's not,
postcard.
has it distributed yet?
Yeah.
Did they all go out?
Yeah.
Were some postal routes, were they sick or something?
Yeah.
Did they-
It's like, my phone hasn't rung. You call me to make sure, test my phone for me.
So we're
It's
constantly
like,
testing ideas. I should have said that up front before we start dogging stuff, because we're constantly testing this. We've tried all of these, so don't feel bad if you've tried them. I've tried them all.
yeah, if we're saying something doesn't work, it's probably because we've tried it and it didn't work.
Some of this stuff is so old I won't try it again, and I am surprised that I tried print again, but we do test marketing all the time, right?
Right.
All the time. That's what I was going to do. Sorry, something just came to my mind. Okay, so the other thing is, number 4 is one-sided efforts. So if you're only doing one thing, it's just not a smart move. You don't want to rest everything on one marketing effort. There should be several. One thing is bad for online. It's bad for anything. If you lose that technique, if something happens, a major lead distribution company that people liked online got bought by another major one.
Yeah.
And then they all hated them. That company that got bought, that was actually one of the few ones that was liked, is now not as well liked by these people now.
Because it got bought out by the one everybody hated.
Yeah, it did. So,
And if you're listening to this, you know exactly who we're talking about.
So, yeah, that company got bought. People don't like it as well. If you had a lot of guys had everything staked on that.
Right.
Everything. So just for that reason alone, I don't need to, you know why. It's just one thing only is always bad. Number 5 of what not to do is the cheapest sales pitch for online marketing. So SEO or map placement, you'll get calls that'll say, hey, for $99 or $2.99, we're going to set your world on fire and do mapping, and or just do pay-per-click management, or just do linking, that sort of thing.
Right.
Those are always bad. Your overall,
Nobody can set the world on fire for $300 a month.
Your overall web effort is going to get judged based upon many things going on. And actually, these really low-cost things, they don't do anything. I call them glorified hosting fees.
Right.
So you'll get messed around with this stuff. You probably already have been messed around by this stuff. This is the most common trick in the industry, is to sell a pricing point that somebody likes, sounds good, wished it was the price that would make everything set on fire, but it doesn't. But people bite on it That's why it's sold.
A pyromaniac's not going to set you on fire for $100.
Yeah.
You like that? I just thought of it.
Yeah, is it? I don't know. Maybe not use that one again. Anyway, but yeah, so if you ever listen, I tell people it's okay that you got tricked by some of these sales techniques. I know that you have, because everybody has, and you wouldn't be educating yourself if you hadn't. Yeah. So just don't keep doing it.
Right.
You know, try to find something high quality. So let's move on to what you should do. So what should you do for a comprehensive online effort? So for a comprehensive online digital marketing effort, I'm going to start with a custom design and code base. You can go after this one.
New website, built from the ground up. Optimized code for faster loading. Nothing there. Everything you do need and nothing you don't in terms of code base, which means all the pieces that you do need to make it functional and to present your information, and stuff you don't need, like fluff and animations that don't serve a purpose, and extra JavaScript that doesn't help you in any way. Not dogging JavaScript. JavaScript's great. Use it on every site that I do, but it can get excessive really fast, and you want to make sure that you keep it to the minimum necessary. And then you go from that base and you add schema for structured data to present your data to Google in a way that they understand, so that they understand who you are and they trust you more.
Guys, the schema code, we talk about it all the time, helps Google parcel data and know where things are, and they actually helps them embellish the data that's there more. So if you have a schema coded up website and you have an organic rankings, it's usually like, you know, depending on what size screen you're on, it's like an inch or so of space.
It's like title, link, maybe 2 lines of description.
If you schema it up, it'll go balloon out and have site links, aggregate star rating, maybe a photo over here, and you might get 2 to 3 times or even more of the space on the organic for free, just because you told them where stuff was.
Yeah, right. That's like getting if you want to use a print analogy, that's like getting a full page ad for a quarter page ad price.
This is like the argument that clients will make, or potential clients, like, Nolan, I have unlimited changes for $99 a month. That gentleman, I got told that last week, bought the cheapest package possible. It's a glorified hosting fee and never worked on unless he calls someplace offshore to do the work. I have people say, Nolan, I've got custom design with schema code. No, you have a template with almost no schema code, but
right.
some. And
I can't tell you the number of times that we look at a potential client's website and they think they had a custom site, and I can go in and find the line where it's like, oh, there's the $30 off-the-shelf WordPress theme.
They won't even remove the theme line from the code.
Right. Well, they can't. It has to be there.
They don't know how to do it. They can't do it. You can't remove it at all?
If you go in and completely reprogram the way WordPress works, its theme system.
Okay, so if they're good enough to remove it, they would have built you a custom website.
Exactly. If it's not there, then you actually probably have a custom website.
Right.
But as long as that's there, yeah, it's not.
So yeah, the custom websites help Google parcel data. It helps them get found more. They look better, but that's not necessarily why. It's so that they show up better online. The code base is extremely helpful to your overall online effort. So B, let's move on to B, is structured, deep content. And as content's always there. For me, it's like a political discussion. It's just so tired at this point, right? You get older, you talk about this stuff, you don't want to talk about it anymore, right?
You have to have content, period.
It just keeps getting more and more serious as to how well it needs to be done. So there's almost 10 writers here now, and we're constantly training and upgrading. And every time I turn around and think that we can't do better content, we up the ante, and we do because it's being demanded of Google that the content is very unique, very structured, not contrived keywords like plugging your keyword in the same way several times. There's something called LSI, latent semantic indexing, which is basically synonyms as opposed to repeating these words, because if you do these sites like this, it's just cruddy cruddy writing where the business owner has said, oh, well, I'll tell the dumb search engine what we're about and I'll plug it in 3% of the time or 1.5% of the time.
It's like every other paragraph say the company name, the location, and the phone number.
Yeah.
And that used to work. I mean, don't get me wrong.
The service in the city.
Yeah.
The service in the city, service in the city, service in the city that the page is about. It's over. It doesn't mean that you don't write a page about the service. It means that you've got to be really slick about it. The structuring of that page needs to be done with numbers, letters, bullet points, pictures, charts, video, and go on. And then that writing needs to be on point, custom, not dupe content, not shallow content. You know, it needs to be done well.
And very natural. If you can't hear yourself saying the way it's written on the page, like you don't sit there and talk to somebody and every third line go, I'm a plumber in Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Yeah. Then if it sounds, if you think about yourself saying it and it sounds funny, it's contrived and Google's not going to like it.
Ma'am, we can fix your clogged drain in Fort Worth today. What? Are we talking about the same thing here? Yeah, like just repeating that several times as you're speaking to someone. So that, I mean, but that's a good point as to say why they don't like it. It's actually kind of ludicrous that it's written that way.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be serious.
And when the algorithm was less sophisticated, it worked. So
yeah,
I mean, we did it that way because it worked. We do whatever works.
We did it that way because we had to.
Yeah, because that's
what the algorithm responded to. But right now, it has gotten. It still has to be contrived slightly. It just can't be as obvious anymore.
Right.
So I don't know how to say it without going into a full deep dive on that, which we'll do on one of these.
Yeah, we can do that a different episode.
Okay, so C is GMB, stands for Google My Business, and that is a good thing to spend time and effort on for your digital marketing dollar. You can, of course, and have to verify the location. You need to go into your Google My Business page and embellish it all the way through as much as you can. Pictures, videos, regular work, structuring the data. Even
you can list your services. There's
radius,
all kind of
locations, description, hours of operation. It goes on and on.
Yeah, and that Google My Business account is kind of the primary point where your website gets linked up with Google itself.
Yeah.
And Google has this back channel, and they put these things together, and the effort on the website supports what you've done on the Google My Business account, and that is, of course, leads to map ranking.
It leads to trust, brand awareness, credibility, which leads to all this other stuff like map ranking and organic optimization. You know, this is your online effort as a whole. Leads to all these things. So if you don't do this, and we actually post these monthly for our clients, we add photos that they give them to us. You're working in the Google My Business account all the time. So it is your conduit for trust. Without trust, they're not going to place you very well. Right. So it's important. It'll link up everything else. There's also it's a barometer for the overall health. If you'll, there's something not quite the same, but called Google My Business homepage. If you'll Google the name of your company in the city you're in, or the name of your company in reviews, something like that on the Google homepage on like a desktop, you'll see, or even it doesn't matter, you can do it on a tablet or a phone, but all of your information about you around the web will pop up. Your knowledge graph, your Google account, your Home Advisor and Yelp and all this other stuff.
Yeah, your Facebook and Twitter pages, and any other place where you're listed on a directory or whatever.
Reviews will be on this one and that one and this one and that one, and it'll give an overall view of it. If that front page doesn't fill with positive information about you, it's not being done properly.
Right.
And if that's not done properly, your overall web effort's probably failing. So if your overall web effort fails, you know what it means? It means that you pay for every click and every lead.
Right.
That's what it means. And it means that your brand is poor. So we were talking about billboards and TV in 1960s and 70s branding. The new branding is that you're trusted online, that the brand is has continuity, that it has trust, that it has great reviews, and all of that brings together to get you all this wonderful free traffic.
Right.
Organic is what they call it, but as keyword terms, organically, it's map placement, it's reviews, and it's just your name around the web. It can even be social. Okay, so D, letter D in the list is reviews. I'll let you talk on the reviews for a minute. You got any?
Reviews is, well, number one, it's one of the biggest things that you guys can do. We provide a tool to help you get reviews and connect with your customers to get them, but we can't fake them. Number one, don't try to fake them. If you try to fake them, they'll catch you. Just assume that they will catch you and just stop trying. But we'll help you with a tool to do that, but you can go out there and talk to your clients. We integrate the reviews on your website so they show up in a tab. We get the aggregate star rating in the schema, which we talked about, which shows up on that Google search result. And again, that's a big trust thing. If you have that shows up on that Google My Business homepage and shows that you have good reviews in multiple locations.
And reviews, just for the record, we're talking Google, Facebook, BBB, Yelp, stuff like that. We're not talking about third-party reviews. We're not talking about stuff that your web developer threw up on a static page that came out of it needs to be validated through a primary source. I'd take slightly more Google reviews than anything, but you want a well-rounded set of reviews around the web. If you had 10, you might take 5 Google and then spread out 1 for Facebook and Yelp and BBB, et cetera. Right. But if you've got a lot of reviews with some no-name service, it's not going to get much results online. Clients won't convert well off of it. Google won't take many signals that you deserve to move up in search rankings from goofy review sites that they have. It needs to be from a trusted one, which is just a handful, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like Google, Facebook, Yelp, maybe Home Advisor, BBB. Everything else is sort of beside the point.
So all this stuff integrated together, design and content and your Google My Business account and reviews and all of this, some stuff we're about to talk about like social media, these act as a cumulative whole for your overall brand and online health. And then the signals and clues that this gets done regularly upfront and then regularly ongoing drives overall traffic and search ranking. It's a phenomenal return on investment for your digital marketing dollar, and it's worth doing all this stuff, keeping your dollars focused, staying away from stuff that doesn't work anymore, and then going digital with as much stuff as you can. So E on the list is social media. We're going to talk about Facebook, and I'm going to draw back into what we were talking about on television earlier, because if you're going to have, social media is interesting because Google is, I say, the universe of everyone that might search. They're all going to come there eventually, right?
Right.
And social media, you couldn't possibly afford as a business to touch everybody in your marketplace.
Yeah.
So let's say that there's 1 million people in the marketplace, and all 1 million people will eventually go to Google, and it's important to have all these things. But if you had all 1 million people like you on Facebook, actually I might take it just for whatever free organic they gave me, but let's talk in a realistic term.
Yeah.
So they will give you less than 5% of organic on a posting on Facebook and Instagram.
And what that means is that if you've got a business page and you put up a post, hey, we did this today, hey, look at this job we just completed, whatever, of your like base, very few people are going to see it. Facebook does not show business pages in the regular news feed.
Right. That happens on your social, personal level, but not once it hits business, they want money.
Yeah.
So if they're going to show you, you put up a post, you put up a video, you put up something, you have to pay to distribute it. So if you had 1 million people that liked you in your market, it was all 1 million people, you wouldn't be able to afford to distribute it.
Right.
So what you do is get social media going and get thousands of people, have a goal, and then you nurture the audience that you built. We can obviously help you with all the things that we're talking about. We can help you with the digital spend and help you with demographics, help you with the logic basis of getting an audience and then nurturing that audience. It won't have as much response rate as the world of everybody on Google, but who is there responds higher, becomes a referral network, and you can actually brand to them. Right. You're not going to throw up enough billboards in a big town and brand to everybody. And I would argue even in a small town, you should have done it a different way.
Right.
And this is the different way that I'm arguing it should be done. So if you live in a small town and you want to do this, we can help you with it. Do it on social media, because the billboard has to be repaid all the time, and the brand effort's poor, in my opinion.
Right.
So once it's on social media, you have bought down this like base, this follower base, and then you nurture that audience. Let's say that you're in a town of 20,000, get a goal to get 8,000 people or 10,000 people to like you, and you actually can afford to go out to these people every so often. And when you do a boosted post or a website promotion or whatever you're doing, then you can have it go out and then you can brand to them. I'd also argue that them seeing you on Facebook is a stronger brand than running past a billboard.
Right.
So
you want to really get down to it. Facebook is actually your TV, your print, your billboard, your radio even. It's all those things.
But better.
Plus referral network, plus word of mouth, all rolled into one thing.
It's better because the billboard is cold and impersonal.
Yeah.
And it's one photo.
And it's static. It's in one place.
It's static in one place in one photo. If the social media is done properly, it's social. It's personable. They get to know you and your staff and the family or whoever you want to show. And if you do it properly, you will get that following, and the return's going to be greater because of it.
Right.
Yeah. So we can help you there too, but that's why. And then if you want to do videos and all that instead of TV, you throw that down and you promote that through social media. Okay, so what's next? Sorry about that. F is domain authority and citations. So domain authority is a fancy way for saying linking mainly. You can have some domain authority through proper design and code base and working on the website.
All the other stuff we previously talked about does provide some domain authority, but inbound links are still the big metric.
There is some need to do this. You'll see a correlating factor in domain authority to ranking of websites.
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention to it at all, it's a mistake, because it'll be difficult for you to do as high organic rankings if you don't have any domain authority. It also tends to be synonymous with people doing all this stuff.
Right.
So someone smart enough to start to include everything doesn't ignore domain authority. We can help you with it. We don't do anything goofy or weird. It is extremely high quality stuff, like a press release or a Google article.
Yeah.
So,
as with everything else on this list, which we said before about one-sided efforts, if someone says that they can get you all the ranking with just domain authority and linking, run away.
Yeah, that is actually synonymous with people doing spammy efforts.
Yeah.
Really all these one-sided efforts.
Yeah.
But that particular spammy effort's bad, really bad. You need it done really high-end, high-class. It can be done well, and it'll help your overall effort. It's a subject for a different category almost.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on most of these.
Yeah. So let's go on to G. G is regular work. And you know how we talked about the one-hit wonders and doing the cheapest thing? They put up, I call it a glorified hosting fee, and I don't know, I didn't define it. It's glorified hosting because they don't ever do any work.
Yeah, they put the website up and it sits there. And it sits on their server and they...
But it's got unlimited changes.
Yeah.
And by the way, what does it matter to make unlimited changes to the worst websites you could have possibly purchased with the worst code base?
You're never going to make enough changes to fix it.
Not to compete in a primary market for primary services.
Right.
If you've got, and even if you think, it's irritating when I go, oh, there's no competitors in my market. You know what I do? I'll say, well, what's your primary keyword? And we'll type it in. There'll be 786,000 potential things that they could have chosen. It's like, okay, so there may not be as many people providing a specific service, but Google says there's 786,000 potential things to show.
Yeah.
So your market's competitive.
Right.
Yeah. So
unless you are in a very, very small town, your market is competitive.
We had somebody recently, a guy was staining fences only in a major market.
Okay.
Right. And maybe he doesn't need.
Yeah, that might be
much.
enough of a niche.
Yeah.
That
he still needs some regular work though.
Yeah.
It was in a primary market.
Yeah.
Maybe, but maybe not, because it's not like people haven't talked about that online before.
Yeah.
But regular work is on-site changes, content additions, adding photos and stuff, working on GMB account, Google My Business, Google Map postings, citations and domain authority, regular work on code base. These are things that our staff is paid to do for the client.
Right.
And if you don't do it, you're going to not rank well. And if
a website that's left stale, that doesn't get touched, you'll see, even if an initial effort is really good, let's just say that you actually put together, you pay for an amazing website to start and you launch it, and Google sees it and they go, hey, this is pretty good, and your ranking goes up like this, and then it levels off to where it deserves to be, but nothing ever changes. It's going to start doing this.
It goes down because your competitors are savvy and they're doing stuff regularly.
Right.
Why show someone who never does a social post, never changes content, adds content, never blogs, never changes code base, lets it stagnate, lets it get out of date? Those sites don't deserve to show up in ranking. They fall in ranking. It's pretty logical. Happens very much like that.
Yeah. And incidentally, if you did that and you paid a lot of money for a website, it doesn't matter how much money you paid for it. It will still fall off in ranking if it is not updated.
Yeah. So let's move on. We got a couple left here. We've got H is paid PPC, so it's paid advertising, pay-per-click, or payment on social media.
On Facebook, which we sort of already covered.
Which is ad spend. So if you're going to spend money online, you probably should do some of this. It's just kind of foolhardy long-term. You don't do any of this at first. The organic is the best return, but it's really not in your best interest not to do for any paid. A lot of you guys will do leads, which I'm not going to dog. I think it's okay. Most of these people don't like leads because they're typically not as high quality.
Right.
In case you don't know, if you've never had it before, organic off of your website is the best lead because they bought into your brand, not the lead company's brand, or you haven't had to pay for every click where people are actively shopping and clicking and shopping and clicking. And when they've gone to your branded web presence that shows up, they're buying into your brand, they're less likely to shop. But you should do some paid. It makes sense.
We do some paid.
We do some paid.
Chances are you found this through a paid Facebook thing.
Yeah, if you're watching this
right now.
Right now.
And we do Google ads. We do PPC on Google. We do PPC on social.
Yep.
So we do it. You should do it.
It makes everything work better together. So Google even takes 20% of the clues on how well your organic shows up based upon social interaction, and that would be higher if you paid for some. And if it's managed well, you'll actually get a return off of it.
Right.
It's not as quick of a return as some other stuff like buying a lead or pay-per-click, but it'll return and it'll help everything else. It all kind of intertwines together.
Right.
So it's important. Okay, so I added one at the end for I, and I is YouTube and social. We added one for these videos, much like the one we're doing now. So you can get a video and do distribution through multiple channels. You can do that through YouTube. You can add it to your website. It's fresh content. You can cut it down and put it on social media, right? Mm-hmm. You can pay to distribute that. It will be personalized and help brand your company, the sort of stuff. And the branding is different. So I want to talk about that one more time just so people understand the difference in the brand.
Right.
So the brand is the company when you get found immediately looking strong.
Right.
The only place you're going to brand online to client base to where they get to know who you are is social media. They can actually know you and have you on the tip of your tongue. You should probably you should say, okay, I shouldn't do or can't do billboards and TV for branding to all people like I'm Coca-Cola.
Right.
But I can brand to 5,000 people or 3,000 people on social media.
Right. And just incidentally, I said it earlier, and that's what led to this being added to the end, is if you want to spend money on a TV commercial, take it and put it on YouTube, because for the same amount of money, you're going to get immensely higher reach on YouTube than you are on a television commercial.
I'm going to share one more, and this is kind of, I don't know if it's embarrassing really. It was about 5 years ago, so we weren't doing, at the time we were doing mainly for our company, for the Webmasters, we were doing mostly all organic and some pay-per-click for us.
Yeah.
And that was definitely true for our client base. Looking back, we could have started aggressively on social media way earlier.
Yeah.
But the clients maybe not right at that time. but it's at this point in time it works for everybody.
Yeah.
So this was like 5 years ago. We had spent a bunch of money as a company on, and like I told you, we try everything all the time, but we had gone to 2 different types of conventions or whatever. Were they conferences or conventions where you have a cubicle or a booth?
Yeah, a little
and
booth
you
with
walk
a
up and
table.
down. And when we went to them, it sounded like a good idea.
Yeah.
Seemed good. We spent a bunch of money on getting the booth in the first place. I think one of those cost us like $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, we did really nice graphics.
We
really
did
nice
these little
setup.
pop-up displays and these little banners in front of a table and got pens and little pads. And we went out to these industry conferences, and it felt like somebody had died. You know, you remember?
Yeah.
It felt like, it feels like an office supply store or the post office, like something in the death throes.
Everybody was just sort of shuffling around, didn't know what to do.
Shuffling because they're really old.
Yeah.
It's like the people
didn't know why. I mean, some of them didn't seem to know why they were there.
Yeah, it was this dying thing, you know. And I had talked to the other owner, and I'm like, why in the hell did we do that? And it's like, well, we wanted to try it. It's like, it cost a fortune.
Yeah.
So I never try to come off on this stuff like we're better than you. I've tried it all, you know. So
yeah, all of this is from the standpoint of all the mistakes we made and learned from.
So a lot of our clients, if they're like a contractor, for example, they're they could do home shows and things.
Yeah.
I still find it crazy. They'll swear by it, but it's hard to stop something. I don't even suggest that if the home show works for you even a little bit, that you stop it before this stuff gets working well.
Right.
You can't just cut all your marketing stuff. But I had come back from that, and I made an executive decision, and I'm like, you know what? We're never going to one again, and we're going to spend the money that we spent this year, next year in social media. Yeah. And we built our web presence, or our social presence up significantly in about a 2 to 3 year period.
Yeah.
And
it worked.
And it worked, and we invested time and energy into it. And so we went and did something that was a poor marketing move and then vowed to do that. And on the social side, I think the reason we didn't start it earlier is I told you, if it's a pay-per-click, I don't do leads, but a lot of our clients do.
Yeah.
But if it's pay-per-click or leads or organic even, you can get really quick results on all this, and it's a great return. But on the social media, depending on what it is, some of it you can get quick results, but sometimes it takes a little time to build it up.
Right.
And I didn't want to spend the time any more than anybody else did. So I took that money spent, and we spent it evenly throughout that year, and we just kind of kept spending. I think we spend more than we ever have now on social, but we did it after building our base up and having a platform to work from.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't do it just out of nowhere. We baby stepped into it.
Yeah, the return on investment was very good. It just wasn't very immediate.
It was.
You have to build it up.
That one was a delay.
Yeah.
That one was a delay. I don't think it's always a delay depending on the service nowadays.
Yeah.
It can be quicker on social because social's gotten so primary. Average person goes to Facebook 14 times.
14 times a day.
14 times every day.
Ridiculous.
And then they search all this stuff directly.
Let me check mine right now.
There you go. Gotta get going. I think that is the amount of times close to that Coca-Cola used to want to see everybody looking at their logo or every day.
Yeah, they wanted them to
like
come across
13 or 14
in the
times.
world every day.
It was in the teens.
Yeah, it was multiple times a day.
I don't know if that still happens that way, but hope you enjoyed that one. I thought it was kind of interesting. But if you guys have any questions, call us. We'd love to be of service. We'd look forward to hearing from you.
See ya.